plot armor is back. If you're a subscriber or a member of the plot army, then you probably noticed we were gone for a little over 2 weeks. This was not done by choice, but due to a barrage of false copyright claims. The worst of it is behind us now, we're back. More on that at the end of the video, but to support our return and help us get back to where we were, please be sure to drop a like and comment on the video, it will really help us out. With that said, let's talk about Boruto chapter 62. You may disagree, but it's been a while now since the Boruto manga has been truly exciting. This has been due to a lot of setup for what's to come next, and personally it's felt too long for a monthly series. I enjoyed moments like the introduction of Ada and the brief sparring match between Boruto and Kawaki, but overall, things have been very slow, especially again for a monthly series. With this chapter though, we return to greatness. The chapter opens up where we left off, with Kawaki on the run after erasing his chakra signature, leaving Boruto confused. Now, with only a shadow clone of Kawaki remaining nearby, Boruto would continue trying to find answers. This would go nowhere, and so Boruto would try to get the attention of the shinobi keeping track of their whereabouts. He'd tell the spy that Kawaki had broken out, but it was no use. Because of Kawaki's shadow clone being in the home, from this shinobi's perspective, Boruto was lying. He could sense they were both inside the house, the real Kawaki could not be sensed, and so his clone was the only thing traceable. While this was going on, Code was still in pursuit of Kawaki, with Ada guiding him using her ability to see all things. Now getting close to Kawaki, Code would begin to wonder what they should talk about first. Back to Boruto though, we would see him running down the stairs announcing with panic that Kawaki had vanished. Naruto was rightfully confused, but Boruto was not slowing down. He'd explained that Kawaki was probably erasing his chakra, which was why the sensory unit spy hadn't noticed the disappearance. Naruto was now slightly worried. Stepping outside, Naruto would ask the sensory unit shinobi if he's monitoring Kawaki, and that man would still just explain that Kawaki was present inside the home. Low-key a bit strange that after all this, he didn't even begin to question or doubt himself, but yeah, Boruto would yell out that Kawaki inside was actually just a shadow clone, and that the real Kawaki was likely outside the village by now. Naruto still seemed unsure, but he would order the man to widen his search range to double check Kawaki's location with the help of others. He would also give orders to notify Shikamaru of the situation as well. The real Kawaki would receive this information through his clone and simply release his clone jutsu now that it was irrelevant. He now knew Boruto had snitched, and just then Kawaki would check his back and spot Code approaching at very high speeds. They would lock eyes, with Code wearing an expression of determination and Kawaki wearing one of anger as he yelled out the name of his approaching enemy. Code would activate his special jutsu, leaving marks on Kawaki's back as well as on some nearby trees. In an instant, he would disappear and reappear directly on Kawaki's back. He'd be witty here, asking Kawaki if he had gained some weight, which I'd like to add is very possible with how Hinata's dinners look. Back inside the village, Naruto would still be trying to understand what was going on, and Boruto would try to explain. A valid question would come up: how was Boruto able to perceive Kawaki if the sensory unit could not? Boruto himself wasn't sure how, and I suppose this would cause Naruto to doubt him a little bit more. The funny thing is, while Naruto had to wonder if Boruto was working with Kawaki, the complete opposite was actually the truth. Boruto was super quick to snitch, the opposite of cooperating with Kawaki. It was true though that Boruto had just recently been complaining about being monitored, so it's definitely valid to be unsure if you're Naruto. During this conversation, the two were going upstairs to check Kawaki's room. Upon arriving though, the shadow clone was already gone. Immediately, the clueless sensory shinobi would enter the room and inform Naruto that Kawaki's chakra signature had suddenly disappeared. Boruto would again explain it was a clone and that the man had been fooled. This guy is literally a walking L. Elsewhere in Konoha, Shikamaru and Amato would be informed and equally confused. Naruto would accept responsibility for this failure because it did take place under his watch and in his home. The group, which would also include Ino, would ponder over the situation. Concerns would grow once they learned that even worse, Kawaki's chakra is undetectable currently. As this happened, Boruto would notice that Kawaki's presence was now gone also. He had gotten that far already. Boruto's concerns would now grow even further, so he had to go. Naruto would object though. After all, Boruto too was supposed to be under protection. However, Boruto would argue back, shortly after sneaking away while Naruto gave orders to the others. They tried and tried, but they could not figure out his motive. Why did Kawaki leave of his own free will? Elsewhere, Boruto was now in pursuit of Kawaki. His thinking was that the leaf could use his chakra to find Kawaki's location once he arrives. Not a bad plan, but it's funny how Naruto let him leave after all that objection. It just seemed a little too easy, but maybe Naruto was just talking bold or talking strongly because the others were present. Anyway, the fight between Code and Kawaki had begun at this time. Both would activate their body modifications, Kawaki with his spear-like arm and Code with his claws. Not the warmest greeting, but very quickly, Code would send Kawaki flying. Ada would communicate with Code after that one, reminding him not to accidentally kill Kawaki, reason being her interest in him. Code would continue, now speaking to Kawaki, saying they should have a chat about their future. Kawaki wouldn't respond to that and instead would fire a blast at Code. It did a lot of damage, but not to Code. He easily dodged this and then appeared behind Kawaki. Code would now tell Kawaki that he would have been safe inside Konoha, so it's natural to ask here why venture out alone. Kawaki was not fazed by that little action and would instead say that he came to see Code. However, he didn't expect Code to appear so soon. Code would ask why he wanted to see him, and for a moment, there was a pause. Kawaki would break the silence and explain that he heard Code wishes to execute revenge against those who killed Ishiki. Code would confirm this and say he plans on killing at least 4 people. Kawaki would reply to that and say that he's the one who killed Ishiki, sort of lying here by saying that the others weren't involved. I say lying because they were part of the plan. While Kawaki did alone do the finishing blow, he didn't get to that point alone. Code wouldn't respond much to this, and so Kawaki would continue, telling Code to kill him and leave the rest of Konoha out of the matter. This was predictable. At the end of the previous chapter, this was our guess as to what Kawaki would be doing, although we had hoped he had some greater plan, but yeah, it appears Kawaki really did just plan to come here and sacrifice himself. But yeah, Kawaki would still get no reaction, and so continue, stating that this all happened because of him, beginning with his decision to leave Kara. Code would laugh at this. He thought this was ridiculous, that Kawaki did all of this to make this sort of proposal, and as if he had just been disrespected, Code would then send a stunning blow to Kawaki's body. There would be no debate. Code would kill everyone involved in Ishiki's death. Kawaki would beg, but Code would just deliver the beats. Ada would even speak up again, but Code would continue, finally pausing to hold up Kawaki's head and tell him to stop groveling on his hands and knees. This body was once Ishiki's vessel, so to do so with it was just disrespectful. Ada would again try to stop Code, waking up her brother in the process. Code, now standing over Kawaki, would explain that he already knows what happened to Ishiki, all the details. He'd reveal to Kawaki that he's inherited the Osutsuki will and Ishiki's wishes, then mentioning the Divine Tree plan and the death that will occur. To Code, the end result was the same, everyone dying. Code was talking big now and letting Kawaki know that in the grand scheme his existence had no meaning. The real mission is on a whole other level, which is true. Kawaki would then be picked up by the throat and raised up by Code. Now would come something of a shock to Kawaki, his exclusion from Code's vengeance list. This was because of Ada, who Kawaki had yet to meet. Interestingly here, Code would express that it irks him that Kawaki always seems needed by somebody. It was time to go. Code would begin teleporting with Kawaki, but suddenly Boruto arrived and put an end to all of that with a kick. Now face to face with Code, Boruto would disregard him, only telling Kawaki that next time to at least let him know where he's going off to, because Boruto was the one who ended up getting yelled at. Kawaki would just be surprised and probably grateful to see Boruto here after that beating he had just taken, and that was the end of the chapter. A pretty simple one, but we're back to the excitement. No more setup, the next conflict is here. Enjoyable chapter, although I wish it was less predictable. There were no real surprises here. Kawaki really had no other tricks but to try sacrificing himself, and of course, Code wouldn't accept that. I think we all knew that. Maybe the next chapter will throw us all off. Not sure if it'll be the next chapter or the one after, but I think we can all assume more shinobi will arrive on the scene from the village. Whether that's just Naruto or Naruto and a general search group remains to be seen. Doubt it's Sasuke, but I wouldn't mind it. We need an update on that Rinnegan. Not much to say about the developments in this chapter, honestly. Nothing really developed. But I'm hyped that we're getting into the next conflict. Let us know what you think of this one in the comments. If you haven't already, please be sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe to help us out with this return. We have you guys covered on the content, we just need you to pull up and support. The copyright issue had us out of commission for a while, but we're here now and won't waste the opportunity. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep that plot armor on you. I'm KJ, have a great day, goodbye.